Blue glare. Stop acting like a mouse brain. Blair would sigh and poke at his head. Yes, Blue, she asked, a grin crossing her face. What is it? Blair looked at Charcoal as he began walking towards Moth, and Blair and Blue seemed to be in a deep conversation. Charcoal walked across the barn and sat next to Moth, a grin crossing his face. Moth side-eyed him as she stared at Blue and Blair again, then looked back up at Charcoal. Yes? She asked, looking at his chain collar around his neck. Her tail twitched irritably as she got up, walking away from Charcoal, obviously not wanting to be next to him. So, what are you doing today? He said, getting up and turning her with a slight smile. Nothing, Moth said, scratching at the wooden floor of the barn. What about you? She said, not really immersed in the conversation, and mostly just not trying to make awkward silence. Charcoal's tail twitched and looked up at her, obviously feeling not wanted. As the silence droned on, Blue got up, walking towards Charcoal and Moth. And he shook his head at Blair, slowly walking up. Moth looked at him. A slight hidden emotion on her face. What was he doing? He seemed to be walking in circles until he came over to them. Yes, Blue, she thought, looking up at him with a quizzic glance. Ooh, interesting, he said sarcastically as he rolled over snickering. He hadn't laughed so hard in a while. Moth sensed Charcoal's sarcasm and got up. You do, Blue said, yelling at Charcoal and Moth. Moth really didn't know what to say. The past couple minutes had been awkward. It wasn't that funny, she whispered, looking down at Charcoal. He laughed so hard, it was unnatural. My beautiful face, Charcoal said, loudly yelling. Moth's posture went to a slump, and Charcoal seemed to be in a very playful mood today. He was usually very serious. Soil, buddy, you should go hunting, Blue said, looking down at Charcoal, slowly slipping away. Maybe give that energy out, Moth said. Okay, what do you want? I can hunt anything, Charcoal said, putting his paw up to his chest like he was announcing it to the entire world. A life? She asked. It was supposed to be sarcastic, and it was supposed to be a joke, but Charcoal obviously was not going to think of it that way. She meant, like, a life. It was a joke. Her mind fizzed as she expected him to say something different. "What the heck did you just say?" Charcoal asked, dead serious. "All right, let's go, Blair." In the background, Blue yelled. "Can you get me a life?" she said, trying to make the joke understandable to him. He didn't think of it like that. He obviously doesn't know what I mean, Mott sighed in her head. I said something I could do. That's up to StarClan. He meant she didn't mean a life like a leader life. Come on, Soil. She inner face palmed and looked back up to Charcoal. And her mind fizzed off a second. Didn't he say he could hunt anything? Whatever. I am. It's not hard. I mean, I have no life. I have nothing to do. I do nothing every day. I just sit and look at the sky, look at the clouds. That's what I meant, Charcoal, Moth said, her expression turning to annoyed. Moth sighed and began walking off when Charcoal said, "Follow me," and raced off. "I'm going to teach you how to hunt hawks." Moth rolled her eyes and let something slip out of her mouth before she even realized it could totally annihilate his confidence. "I think I already know how to, but okay." She tried an attempt to jump over the fence but failed. Raced back and did it this time. "Come on, Soil," she said. He seemed to be concentrated in the hunt, and he sniffed the air. Moth looked at him, almost like you would at a crazy person. She didn't hate Soil, but he was kind of acting weird recently. A hawk soared by and let out a huge screech. Moth's back prickled uneasily. What if the hawk just picked her up? What if it picked up Charcoal and he just died? This was a stupid idea. She slowly crept forward and waited for Charcoal to make a move. The hawk darted down for Charcoal, and he rolled on his back swiftly, Charcoal's teeth and fangs nipping into the hawk's neck. The hawk let out a faint shrill shriek, and it slowly lowered to the ground, dying. In the distance, Moth could see Blair racing off towards the mountains. Her and Blue must be having fun, she thought irritably. But she shook the thought away. It was fine. For now. "Okay, what's next?" Charcoal said, his tail twitching in a rapid movement. "I think I just saw Blair go that way," Moth said, obviously knowing she saw Blair go that way. "Let's go over there and see if we can scare her. Wouldn't that be fun?" She laughed slightly, not meanly. It was actually quite a nice, creepy laugh. She meant it like a joke. Charcoal brushed up next to her. She felt uneasy again. Her heart began quickening, and she walked off, racing as her paws let out loud booms on the rocky earth as she crossed the thunder path, trying not to be too blatantly obvious for a monster to come out and run her over, she raced on the rock. "Let's go back!" It had been a while, and she couldn't find them anywhere. She hopped into the river, looking behind for Charcoal to see if Charcoal was following her. She thought she heard them way off in the distance, and her paws began and her excitement rushed through her. She had seen them. When she thought she had seen them, she did. But she let Charcoal go first and chased them out. "Charcoal, you scared us," Blue said. "You really scared me," Blair said, glaring at Charcoal, not wanting him to speak, obviously. "I know you don't like him, but let's hear what he has to say." "Shh," Blue whispered into Blair's ear. Moth glared at them. She wanted to scare them one last time, so she slipped out of the dark. Blair and Blue gave each other a stare, nodding, and Moth obviously didn't get them to get a reaction out of them. She raced over to the rock. "Still watching, Mom?" Charcoal said at the sky, obviously not caring that they're right there. "Okay, tell us what needs to know about the stone," Blue said. Blue and Blair were at the Moonstone, and when they had gotten scared, Charcoal went down the tunnel first and scared them out when the rest was just happened. They obviously wanted to know about the Moonstone. "Oh, yeah, the Moonstone. That's what it's called," Charcoal said. "Tell on, Soil Cat," Blue said. Blair let out an uncomfortable sigh. And Blue looked back, sitting next to Blair. Moth let out a slightly angry sigh and glared at Charcoal. This whole scaring thing just became a spiritual experience. She knew what the Moonstone was, but she wasn't going to tell anyone. "So, what is it? What's the Moonstone do?" Blue said. "Well, yes, it is called the Moonstone, like I just said before," Soil said. Her paws became uneasy. Her head began to hurt slightly. Ouch. Ow. She felt herself slowly wander off as everything in her body began to hurt. Ow. She whimpered one more time, her legs becoming weak, and she felt out of place. She didn't know why this was happening, why she suddenly felt like she was going to collapse on the floor and die, but it just was happening. She coughed and got up. "I'm gonna go back to the barn," she said nonchalantly. "You obviously don't need me here, and I don't need to know anything about this mysterious Moonstone." That's why I'm gonna go back to the barn, she repeated again, her head beginning to ache again and again. I know about StarClan. I know about StarClan. So I'm going back to the barn. All of them looked at her, and she felt quite out of place again as she got up, racing towards the exit. She found herself on a rock and laid there, her head suddenly beginning to ease as she lay down, trying to get comfortable on the hard rock. Why did her head hurt so much next to the moonstone? And talking about it made it even worse. What was her body trying to tell her? Her entire senses became numb as she edged off into a deep slumber, her tail twitching. Yes, I still realize I sound terrible, but that's all for this episode. I did this all in one take, and there are some mistakes, but I hope you can brush across that as more lore. Oh my gosh. I'm sick. Yes, that's a fact. I am sick, and my voice is messed up, so that's why I have not been posting these in a while, but I realize I need some space, so I need to do something with all the video files that I have. Still need to do. But yeah, I'm going to be doing bloopers, and I realize that Blair is supposed to be country accent, and Charcoal's supposed to be British, but I totally forgot about this. Like I said, I'm sick. My head's all foggy. I have stuff to do now. Like today, I have stuff to do that I don't want to do, and I've been procrastinating it. So yeah, that's all I've been thinking about is that one thing in school that's ending soon. But yeah. See you guys. Also, bloopers. There's bloopers at the end. Let's see this. Let's see this one blooper. But it's quite funny. So yeah, bye. Okay, I think the blooper got deleted, so actually there is no blooper, but like and subscribe.